just help me understand what this is all about. So is this separate from the AstraZeneca vaccine that we'll be getting?
So this is an additional vaccine agreement. We have the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. We have the University of Queensland CSL vaccine. But this provides access to any of potentially dozens and dozens of vaccines around the world that are under development. So rather than a direct country-to-company agreement, this is an international agreement, and Australia is part of that. And if any of the portfolio of vaccines that are being looked at are successful, then we will have that access. So we'll be helping broaden the number of vaccines, broaden our access in Australia, provide additional protection, and at the same time, it will also mean that this international agreement provides access to people in developing countries. And that means that we're helping to protect and save lives in Australia, but also do that around the world. And that's ultimately the right humanitarian thing to do, as well as being in Australia's interest.
So essentially, it's an insurance project, just in case someone else beats AstraZeneca or any of the other ones that we've signed up to.
Actually, that's a pretty good description. It does provide extra assurance and extra insurance for Australia. It's on top of the agreement we've got. So we've got that certainty with what we think are two of the world's leading candidates. But because there are so many vaccines under development, over 160 in different stages of research or clinical trials, the new agreement gives us the capacity to access any of those that are within the buying and research work of Gavi, so the Global Alliance on Vaccines. And that's good for Australia, that's great for certainty, and it's good for the world.
OK, just quickly on borders, Minister, South Australia from midnight tonight opening its borders to New South Wales, Queensland also softening its stance. First of all, to South Australia, I'm no doubt you're relieved about that, but is it a bit unfair in the sense that if there's one case of community transmission, then the deal's off?
Well, they'll work through that, and our goal is to make sure that Australians are able to return to their loved ones, that where medical help is needed, borders are no barrier to that, that for farming communities, they're able to cross and do their work and to support their farms and to support their families. So these are really important steps. We'll continue to work with South Australia and Queensland, but we really welcome the steps forward. And I know that the South Australian Premier has helped, along with the New South Wales Premier, drive the opening of the borders, because it's immensely important to the health and the mental health of Australians to be able to have medical treatment when and where it's needed, to be able to visit families, and to be able to have the work done on farms and more broadly where people have to cross borders. And that's part of what we are as a country.
And just finally and briefly, Minister, I know you've got to go, but Victoria is going to be announcing a further easing of restrictions on Sunday. What would you like to see happen?
We'd like to see the curfew removed. There's no epidemiological basis for the curfew, as the Chief Health Officer of Victoria has said. Secondly, we want to see the sole traders, people who are working outside in gardens, maintenance, they're in a safe epidemiological condition. They're outside, they're alone. There's no risk of transmission in that situation. That's immensely important. And then other elements of the roadmap brought forward as quickly as is safely possible. The mental health impacts of this lockdown have been emphasised in the paper today. Doctors pointing out the high long-term impacts of prolonged lockdowns. So mental health is critical. The more that we can move forward safely, the better it will be for the health and mental health of all Victorians.